Hello everyone, so let's talk about meatballs. I've pre-arranged some of the things we're going to be putting in our meatballs today. And first thing obviously is make sure you have clean hands, and let's just get at it. So you're going to take some bread. I've got 3 slices here. You can use any bread. This is just what I've had laid around, just white sandwich bread. You can literally use any kind of bread you want. And you're going to tear it up in a bowl like this. You don't have to be fancy. And this is going to be one of the binders for your meatballs. You can put that in a bowl. You're going to get some milk. Pour a little milk in. I've almost covered it up. And you're going to give that a little mash. Let that milk soak on every piece of bread. And again, it doesn't matter what kind of bread you use. I used about 3 pieces. Just tear some off, whatever you got laying around. Alright, we're going to put that aside for a sec. In here, I have 3 pounds of ground meat. Try to get it from a butcher if you can. If not, regular ground beef is good. Spend some money, get the good stuff. And this will be enough for a small army. So here we go. I've got about 2 cups of Italian style breadcrumbs. We're going to add that in. I've got almost 2 cups of grated Parmesan. We're going to add that in. I've got about a cup of fresh chopped parsley. I'm going to add that in. And we're going to crack 3 eggs. Go, a little messy, but that's okay. And then we're going to go back to our bread mixture. We're going to mash it around. Just make sure all the bread has got soft and has had a lot of opportunity for the milk to soak in. It's looking pretty good. Now this is pretty wet, as you can tell. And that's okay, because you really want wet meatballs. And that's going to be the secret to making them really juicy and delicious, frankly. So here we go. We've got all of our contents here. And there's no easy way about it. You just got to dig in. Again, just make sure your hands are clean. And you're going to start mixing. It also helps if you let your meat sit out for about 15 minutes before you have to mix this. So it's not ice cold when you're doing it. And when you're mixing this, make sure you have a big enough bowl. And you're just kind of folding from the bottom to the top. Keep reaching underneath, pulling your meat towards you, and squishing it with your hands. As you can see, starting to look like something here. If you have clumps of parsley, clumps of cheese, chunks of breadcrumbs, just make sure you get those all mixed in really good. And I'm going to show you here in a second what the meat will look like when it's all mixed. Pretty much been doing this for years and years, so it's second nature to me. Keep mixing. You don't want to beat it to death either. You just want to kind of fold it and mix it. As you can see now, you got some cheese, some parsley, breadcrumbs, all in there on each meatball. Now, The other thing is the size of the meatballs. Everybody talks about, should they be big, should they be small? You know, it really doesn't matter. It's really your taste, your liking, not your taste, but your liking. I like a nice, decent sized meatball. I think it looks great on the plate when you're serving them. And that's basically the size that I choose. Now, I'm gonna grab a metal pan here behind me, because there's a little secret to meatballs. You have to brown them before you put them in your sauce. And you can drag out a big frying pan and brown them that way. That works great. That's actually the first way I was ever taught. Or you can preheat your oven to 350 like I've done. And you can use a metal pan. I just happen to use this roaster pan because it's big and it'll hold pretty much all of these meatballs. And you're gonna put them in the roasting pan, like I'm doing here, and you're gonna stick them in the oven. And what's gonna happen is on 350, they're gonna brown on the bottom. They're gonna start browning on the bottom. You're gonna grab a tongs, maybe 15, 20 minutes in, and you're just gonna flip them. You're just gonna turn them. And you don't have to worry about spraying the bottom of the roaster pan or anything, because there'll be some grease coming out of the meatballs. So you just want to turn them in about 15, 20 minutes when they start browning on the bottom. And you'll do that, you'll turn them a couple times. The meatballs don't take very long, and frankly, you really don't need them to cook all the way through, unless you're making meatball sandwiches with them right away. But typically, you know, you're gonna put them in sauce, right? Your pasta sauce, your Sunday sauce, your Sugo, whatever you want to call it. And so they don't have to be cooked all the way through, because you're going to put them in your sauce, and they're going to cook for probably another hour or so, maybe longer, in the sauce. So you just want to brown them up a little bit. And it's real easy in the oven. That's a trick a chef actually taught me, and it's great especially when you don't want to make a mess on your stove, or when you're making a huge batch. Just get a big metal pan like this and go to work, put them in there, stick them in the oven. Within 30 minutes or so, your meatballs will be ready to put in your sauce. Again, if you're making meatball sandwiches or you want to eat the meatballs right away, please make sure that you cook them all the way through, check it. And that's about it. We've got almost this whole pan full. So I think you have a good idea of how to make them. And you really can't go wrong. You want a meatball to fall apart when you cut into it, when you're about ready to eat it. That being said, you don't want it to fall apart. You want to be able to use your fork and it to cut nicely and it to be very flavorful. Use good cheese, use fresh parsley. Don't be tempted to put garlic in it. Don't be tempted to put oregano or basil in it. Those things are not for meatballs. They're really quite simple, as you saw, and everybody will love them, and you really can't go wrong. And that's it for meatballs. I'm going to finish these up and stick them in the oven. All right.